Hi everyone, this is going to be a little tutorial on the metronome. I've talked about it quite a bit and I thought it'd be a good little tutorial to put together. Some of you may not have a metronome. I would highly suggest that you get one. Some of you may have a metronome, but perhaps you haven't used it in quite some time, so you want to get it out and dust it off. The one that I use mostly, I have several, but the one that I use is a Matrix MR500. The reason I like this, I'm going to go through some of the features on this thing, but this thing I don't even remember how old it is, and it's still running. So it's a basic metronome, does the basic functions you need, and it's bulletproof. Runs on a 9-volt battery. It's got a nice little wheel here for all your tempos for you to set the times that you want. It has two functions that are really nice. It has obviously the sound. And you'll notice that there's a little light that's on there as well. That light is also keeping time. It also has a silent mode where just the light goes off. This is what I've used in our Christmas shows when we'll have a Christmas song that I'm not that familiar with as far as setting the tempo. I'll write that down. So when we're playing in a show, I can set this, turn it on. Nobody hears it except for me. I see that light and I know where to set the tempo at. The other thing that it has, it's kind of handy. This has a little A tone, and you'll notice on your uke, your first string. So if you needed to, you could actually set that A string and then back tune your ukulele. Maybe we'll do a tutorial on tuning sometime if your tuner ever went out or broke or something like that, and you happen to have this metronome with you, you've got a pitch you could tune to and play. Okay, now the biggest question probably once we've gone through this is, why use a metronome at all? Well, there's several reasons, but I'm going to touch base on 4. One is that it develops steady time. When we play, we usually are in a position of reading a song or playing through a song. We're kind of controlled by those parts that we have trouble with, or maybe parts where we want to kind of speed up a bit or we slow down. So the metronome is really good for developing what we call steady time. It's like if you play with a drummer or somebody like that, you get to where you have really good time. It's just something that some people are born with it, but the good news is steady time can be developed. You can develop that, and that's what the metronome helps. And again, just as a side note, it will show you when you're playing, once you know that you're playing in a specific time, if you do slow down or speed up, it lets you find out, especially in the slowing down, is that passage hard? If it is, if it's hard to work through, then you know you've got a place. And again, the metronome can help by slowing it down, finding where you can play smoothly through there. Then you slowly and gradually speed it up until you can play the whole song at an even tempo. The other thing, which kind of goes along with playing in the group that we mentioned, is that it helps you to learn to play outside yourself. And what I mean by that is, instead of being so focused in, sometimes we have our music and we're playing and all we're doing is either singing or trying to get through the song, and we're worried about the chords and playing. We're not really listening to what's going on outside of us. The metronome teaches you to listen to something else for the pulse and the time of the song, which is the same thing as playing in a group. So it really helps you lock together with a group. The other thing is that the metronome is excellent and it can set a marker for improvement. We just talked and touched base. If you have a part in a song where maybe you find that as the metronome's clicking along, you kind of slow down to get through that, that's a part that you can work on. The metronome is now going to help you get that down to a tempo to where you can play it smoothly, and now you have a marker of where you're trying to get it up to, and the metronome will help you easily step up in increments to get there, okay? And then one of the last things is that it sets the proper tempo for a song. I talked earlier about the fact that I use this when we do the Christmas show, because some of those songs, although I'm familiar with the song, when we're coming out of something and then I want to count it off, instead of taking the time to kind of sit, run it through my head and get the tempo, which the audience doesn't want to listen to, I can turn this on the silent mode like that. I can have my little light flashing and stuff that flashes on there. There we go. And I can actually get that tempo right off of that and now I know where to count it off, okay? So once we realize that the metronome is really helpful and it's very good to learn to play and use one, then that's the second question on this. How do you use it? Well, here's the way the metronome basically is done. You can do some advanced techniques with it, but we're going to start off with just some basics. What these numbers are around here, 40, 72, 80, 112, 120, those are what's called beats per minute, BPMs. And sure enough, I'm going to set this right here at 80. If I set this off, and we had a clock with a second hand, once it started and we counted, by the time that got all the way around through the minute, there would have been 80 beats that go on, okay? So those are the beats per minute. When we do this, we also consider those as a downbeat for what we're doing, okay? So when you're strumming your ukulele, just as we code it, it's down and up. Those downs, those are the downbeats. Down, down, down. That's what this metronome is beating out. So when I count off 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, those are your downstrokes as you play, okay? So this is going to set the downbeats for you as you play to it. Now, each downbeat, since it's a down strum, when you come back up, those are usually it's an and, you could be playing in 16th notes, but most of the stuff that we play is an and. So it's a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. But again, the down is the 1, 2, 3, and 4, okay? So let's get started. Let's give this a shot here. I'm going to set my metronome at 80. I've got it set. This also happens to have a nice little flip out stand, so when you set it down, you can hear it. And it sets on a table or anything really nicely, and it's stable. I also like this one because the electric ones like this, it's got a fairly loud beat to it and easy to find. So let's try this. I've got my metronome set at 80. And those are my downbeats. Now something else I've touched base on when we play is you'll notice when I count, my arm is already moving. Sometimes I see a lot of people kind of sitting there waiting, and I love to use the train analogy. The minute I start counting, you really want to have your body and your arm in motion, because it's a lot easier to run alongside the train and jump on than it is to stand there and when it goes by just grab it and have it yank you along. So you want to get this thing going. So I immediately, when I count, I'm already in position to strum. So taking this, we're going to play a C chord. We're going to use our regular strum, down, down, up, down, and we're going to play to this. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. So notice my downbeats are following the metronome. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Down, down, up, down. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. So see how that's following those beats. Okay. Now the good news about this is some of our songs we play in what we call a shuffle. Okay, he's got the whole world in his hands, Lion sleeps tonight. Those are in a shuffle feel. Well, when you're following the downbeat, this works just as well on the shuffle as it does straight time. So here we get, like if we were playing the C, he's got the whole, I'm going to do a shuffle. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So there's our shuffle rhythm, played with the downbeats. Down, 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 down. He's got the whole world in his hands, just like that, okay? So you can see that it works well for either one. Now, the next thing about it, when you're using this to practice to the songs, you might ask yourself, how do I set the metronome? Now, if we have, sometimes we'll play music or music will actually have a suggested tempo that's in it. Sometimes it doesn't. So how do you find a tempo that you want to play to? So I thought for an example we would take Lion Sleeps Tonight. That's a good one to use as an example. Now, the way I like to find a tempo in a song, and what I would suggest is going through your music, finding some tempos you like to play at, find them on your metronome, and then just pencil them in, maybe like the upper right hand corner or lower right or left or whatever, someplace in a corner where you can just write in what that is so that when you practice them on your own, you have the metronome to work with to keep you steady and you kind of know where you want. And you can always adjust it. If you want to speed it up or slow it down, you can do that. So I find that the best way to find where I want to play the song, you could use the verse and sing it. I like using the chorus. The chorus is what usually everybody knows, everybody would sing along, and that's where the feel of the song is. Now for an example, taking Lion Sleeps Tonight, let's play this way slower than we know what it should be. That's way slower than. But watch what happens with the verse. You'll notice that you can sing the verse without too much trouble. In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. But watch what happens in the chorus. Oh, we mow it, oh, we mow it, oh, we mow it, oh, we. And we go, whoa, 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 that's way too slow. So to find the tempo of this, what I'm going to do right here is I'm just going to play that where I think it feels good. Now notice that my hand, there's my downbeats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So now I take my metronome and I turn it on. This is real slow. I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So I need to speed this up. Oh, that's a little too fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Oh, that happens to be at 100. That's pretty close. And that's the other thing. You just want to be close because you can always dial it in once you get there. So let's try 100. That was pretty close. I can see I still want it a little faster. So see, we're close. Let's take it up here. This is 100. Let's go to 104. Let's go to 108. Let's see how 108 sounds. Let's try the chorus here. Oh, we mow it, 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 oh, we mow it. So that's pretty good right there, okay? So what I would do is on my music, I would write down 108. Now, at any time if you were playing the song and you said, you know, that's a little fast, I really want to slow it down a bit, then just step it down. Go from 108 down to 104. Try that. If you wanted it faster, you could go up the other way, but at least you have a ballpark of where you want to play. And when you play the song, even if it's just for fun, I would suggest keeping your metronome handy and using it to play to, okay? So that's basically it. This again was the MR500, a Matrix MR500. This little guy is bulletproof. It goes for, I have no idea. I mean, I rarely change the battery in this thing. Usually I change it just because I want to change it, not because it's gone out. It has a light on it. It's got a really good sound, got the little thing to change it back. So if you're wondering where to start with your metronome, this is the way to do it. You can get apps on your phone. I find that those are usually best for just setting a tempo of a song or finding it. A little hard to play to because sometimes the sound isn't loud enough. Probably depends on the app and depends on the metronome settings and how it works on your phone and how loud you can get it. But again, these work really good. If you have the old school metronome, I have several of them, which are the pendulum types. They work just as well, and they have a little pendulum that clicks back and forth. Those work good. The time is all the same, so 80 on this is 80 on those as well. So again, I hope this gets you into a place where you're kind of excited about using a metronome. Very, very helpful. And again, I'm going to do another tutorial where we're going to start learning some finger exercises and working with the finger picking. I'll do a combined tutorial, and the metronome is extremely valuable for that. So again, I hope this was helpful, and if